Hey, it's Kevin DeWitt here. Welcome to another plugin knowledge session. This week we're going to have a look at a plugin called Magic AB by Sample Magic. Now this is a referencing tool, so it's not going to do anything to your mix. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to EQ anything or compress anything. It is purely here for referencing. Okay, so just a heads up though. Just recently, I have actually changed from using this plugin to using a different one from mastering the mix called Reference, which I have done another video on. But I still wanted to highlight this one and do a run through because a lot of people have this and I used it for years. I absolutely loved this plugin until another better one came in. And I still like it, but obviously I found a better one, so I've switched over. But it's worth showing you because it is a great plugin and you might prefer this one than the other one, or you may already own this and you just haven't really delved into how it functions properly and you want to go through it. Now, what's the point of a referencing plugin? Well, obviously to allow you to reference songs. So one of the greatest things you can do with your mixes is or masters is to compare to popular songs or even use it to compare versions of your own songs. So if you do multiple versions, you might want to switch back and forwards to compare. But generally, most people will use it to compare to popular songs on the radio. So if you are trying to mix your song to sound similar to a certain song or in the same style at least, and you just want to make sure that it's sitting in the same ballpark from a quality point of view, from a brightness point of view, a low end, all of that, just to make sure that you haven't missed the mark on this, then you need to reference it to these songs. Now, generally, most people will end up either having to switch backwards or forwards from, playing their song in iTunes or Spotify or something like that, and then playing their song in their DAW, or they bounce their song out and take it to the car or whatever, and then compare it between the two there. And it can be very inconvenient to do that. Plus, you can't get your levels right. You can't switch quickly between it. So the advantage of having a plugin like this is this plugin is sitting in your DAW. So your mix is playing through the plugin, but also on top of that is you've got reference songs that you've loaded into it. So by clicking a button on this plugin, you're switching between the two, but you're doing it in your DAW. So that means your levels are the same or can be the same. It can be very convenient to do it because you don't have to come out of your mix. You don't have to bounce your mix out. And you can also have some metering after it so that you can compare the metering between the two and you can start to make some adjustments to your mix on the fly and keep switching backwards and forwards to your reference and checking them. So it's very powerful from that point of view. So I definitely recommend that you should have some form of plugin to do your referencing if your DAW doesn't have something already built in to allow you to do that very easily. So this is one of them that is very good and we'll go through it now. So let's get into it. Okay, so we've got a song here. I just picked one and just soloed it here. Okay, it's just lots of songs sitting here. So I've just picked one to play. And obviously this is then going through to this full mix bus at the end here with just a limiter on the end to make sure we don't blow our ears out if we peak it too quickly or anything like that. And what I've done is I've loaded the Magic AB. This is version 2, so the latest version. Obviously there was an older one before that, but this is the most powerful new featured one. So this is what we're looking at here. And this is where the AB comes in. Obviously A and B. A is your mix. B is the reference track. Now at the moment we've got no reference tracks shown here. So we'll just run through some of the features of it. So we can do a little mini AB and you'll see that that basically drops it down very low. You can still access your tracks and all the various little components, but just a very small version of it. and we can bring it back up to normal. We can adjust this fader on either of these tracks at a master level. So this is like your main output level to adjust our volume. So I've just dropped the volume on this a little bit here just so that it isn't too loud in this recording. And this is what it will sound like. And then if we found that our reference tracks were a little bit too loud, we can obviously also adjust this as well to our liking. So we can boost one up if we wanted it louder, just so that we get our levels right, because obviously to compare two tracks together, you really need to get your levels pretty close together. And we can also switch between stereo and mono. So if we want to compare the songs what they sound like in mono, we can do that as well, which is a very good test to do because you want to make sure your song plays nicely in mono as well. And compare, what does a popular song sound like in mono as well, and see how much different yours is to theirs. We've got some preferences down here where we can change some various settings, the crossfade time, peak fall, things like that. We've obviously got bypass, so we can bypass the whole plugin. And we've got some presets, so we can create as many presets as you like. As you can see here, I've got mastering presets of all different genres. I've got mixing presets of all different genres. And these are going to automatically load up the songs that I want and set the levels that I have already worked out for these songs. So as you can see here, each one of these is a reference song. So we can have 9 songs already loaded in one session and one preset. And then we can switch between them. So we don't have to just compare to one song. We can compare to any of these songs. Up to 9 songs. Obviously not playing at once, we need to switch between them, but they're there loaded, ready to go. So you'll see here, we've got nothing here. It's telling us to click to load the audio file. So if I was to click that, I could then go there, go and find a song and place it on that particular channel there. Now, not only do we have a master volume here, but this master volume controls all of these 9, right? All of these 9 go through here. But what if we load 9 songs and they're all different volumes? That's where we come in with these little controls here. So each one of these tracks also has its own volume control. So we can adjust all of the volumes of every single one, and then we still have our master control to adjust the volume of the entire lot at once. We have a little icon here, which is a magnifying glass. So this is indicating which one of these tracks is being visualized on this screen. So if I go and load a preset, let's just go with something weird like chill wave. Okay, so you will see now we have all of these songs being loaded. We've got 9 songs loaded, all to be referenced here. Now, you'll also see this message here that says tracks deactivated. Now, what they added to version 2 was this little power button on each one of these tracks, and this was to save resources. So if you knew that you didn't want to be referencing all 9 tracks, but you wanted them still in this preset, then you can have all of these power buttons turned off, and that way you're saving on resources. But if I turn one on, okay, this is now going to be active, and it's using resources to have this file. So here's our waveform. It's showing us what the song looks like, and I did that by clicking on there. So, if I click there, I'm looking at different songs and there. And if you click on the play button, then it should play. Now, one thing with Cubase is until I actually play my track, it won't play. So you'll see as soon as I played this, this cursor is now starting on our B channel. And you'll see there it's off again. So, and you can actually sync these with your song. So this would come in handy if you were comparing two versions of the same song that you were mixing. So if you loaded your song in here and you've got your mix version, so say you're doing version 2 of your mix, you loaded version 1 in here, they can be synced up so that they are playing identical, so you can quickly switch between the two. And if we turn on multiple tracks, that's where we can switch between which one is playing. So if I start this, we've got it playing there. So the button here determines which song of these is the one to play. So I can click that to switch between them. Now we're still not hearing it because I'm on the A channel, which is our DAW. So if I wanted to hear the other track, I click on this. And that is how I'm going to reference. So I'm going to switch between the two and I'm going to check my references. But again, you want to get your volumes right. And you can do that visually as well, so you can get an idea even without switching what your levels are. Like I said, you can adjust the volume there. We can go into mono. And then we can start making some adjustments or, you know, just making a decision there. We might say that our song's too bright or doesn't have enough low end, so let's do some EQ work. And you might start putting some EQ on here and then keep listening and switching back and forward between the two. So that's the majority of the functionality. So we have some other stuff in here that is a bit more on the advanced side of things. Okay, so what we can do with these buttons here is that we can actually place 4 locations here, and we can even give them a name, and we can quickly switch between each one. So this is great if you want to compare certain sections of a song because they have a different feel or something like that. So like in the case here, so we've got number 1, clicked on number 1, we place our cursor where we want it, and then we can give it a name from any of these. So in our case, we've got intro. Then we click on 2, we can place that where the appropriate section is and give it a name again. So in this case, I've done verse. Then we do it again, 3, chorus, and then 4, outro. So then what that allows us to do is obviously while we're playing, I can quickly jump the cursor. Now again, you're not hearing that because that's on the B channel, but if I did it on the B channel, so we can quickly switch between things there. Now, some other obvious ones here is we can do a loop. Okay, so if we turn on loop, we can select a section here, and then what that's going to do is obviously loop between this section. Just make it very, very short. So you could have a chorus playing over and over and over again, or nothing at all, you know, so whatever you prefer. So when we're in the loop mode, these buttons here can reduce the size of the loop. So if we click that, we can double the size, double it again, or we can halve the size of the loop. We've got our skip back, skip forward. So we've got latch mode or sync mode, or we have nothing at all. So if I turn this setting off here, what that means now is that I've taken control away from Cubase. So I can now play Cubase and this cursor won't not move. And what I can do is I can actually click on the play button to start it independently. If we turn the latch setting on, now we are latched to Cubase, so we are controlled by Cubase. So as soon as I turn Cubase on, playing mode, it plays that track. But it plays from wherever I put the cursor. And see, it doesn't matter where I stop. Even if Cubase is going back to where I started, this does not return, it's staying in the same spot. So we could turn it on sync mode, and that will then sync to the song. Now we can move the cursor with this offset if we don't line up perfectly. And what that means now is it's now synced. So I'm saying that the start of my cursor here in Cubase matches the start of this cursor here on this song. So every time I press play, it'll start from this spot. As soon as I stop, it will return to this spot. And that's the same with Cubase, because Cubase is returning to that spot as well. So that's definitely good, again, if you're comparing two songs or you want to continuously compare from the same section or the same spot all the time, because you've got, say you're comparing a chorus to a chorus, you don't want this to continue playing along, even though you keep going back to the chorus of Cubase. So having it synced means that it's going to play from wherever you have put it. Now, you can only offset to that much, and you can go minus if you wish, but you can sync them up, which is quite good. So you can create as many presets as you like, and as I said, adjust the volumes, load the tracks that you want, adjust all your volumes, get them right, get them to the level you want, and you're good to go. Now, the reason I have mixing version and mastering is because when I mix quite a lot lower in volume. So I have these presets set to be lower in volume when comparing, because obviously the references I'm comparing are mastered versions, so they're extremely loud. So when I have these mixing presets, I drop the volume of the references quite a lot so that they match my mixing volume correctly. Then I have my mastering one. So when I'm mastering my song, because now I'm going to be pushing my song up really loud, I can put these songs back to their default level that they're mastered at and compare mine. Now, I still may reduce the volume a bit, because a lot of these reference songs quite a lot of them can be mastered very loud or too loud for what I like to master to. And they're all distorting, and that's not where I want to go. So it's a lot of the time I will still reduce the volume of those reference tracks a little bit to get them to the mastering level that I like to master at, where I get a lot of dynamics, not much distortion, and no over compressing sort of sound. So, but you have that flexibility to set them however you like. Okay, so that's the Magic AB reference plugin from Sample Magic. Go and check it out. It's extremely cheap plugin. Very useful. Obviously, as I stated, one of the best things you can do in mixing is to reference, because who can argue with the professionals? You know, the professionals got their stuff on the radio. They're in the charts. So their songs must be right. They must sound right. So if your songs don't sound anywhere near the quality or the frequency balance that they have, then unless you are doing something unusual and you're deliberately trying to break the rules, you've probably not really got your song to a good level and not to a good standard of mixing, and you need to work a bit harder and get it sounding good. And as I said, the best way to do that is reference, and this plugin allows you to do that efficiently and very easily with presets and everything else straight in your DAW. So you don't need to go out to Spotify, you don't need to go out to iTunes. You do obviously need copies of the songs, but they're pretty easy to buy from iTunes or wherever you like to buy from. And I do suggest buy from, not download, because we want to support artists that make music as you're potentially trying to do yourself. So a big advocate for purchasing to support our artists to continue to make great music for us to enjoy. So hopefully it's been helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.